everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Rise of the Wastelands. Rise of the Wastelands is a 4X game. Explore, exploit, expand, exterminate. This is set in the future, where a rain of meteors hit Earth, and now the landscape, it's killed most people, and now we're Mad Maxing it. Yeah, this is not a particular, unique theme. But there's a lot of these games out there, and this one says 1 to 2 hours on the box, which is kind of interesting. Has some cool looking plastic pieces. So what does this game do to stand out in the crowd? How does it play? Let's take a look at a brief overview, and we'll be back. In this game, you're going to set up a map of the terrain. Most of it's undiscovered as the game goes by. You're going to discover different areas on the map and be moving around with your different units. You have your headquarters on one spot. But this is a map example set up for 4 players. Each player is going to have their own faction boards that you're going to keep track of, and you're going to pick one of several different leaders that are in the game. Each of these leaders will come with different abilities that you'll be able to use. So there's a lot going on in this game, but on your turn, it's going to revolve around action points. Everybody starts with 4 action points, although you can get more. Action points that you don't use each turn can be translated into surplus action points so that you'll have more action points in the future. You can see all the different actions that you can take on this board. So for example, if I want to move, I can put an action here. I can move again, then maybe I'm going to recycle, then maybe I'm going to explore. Some of the actions are going to allow you to build things. As you build, you'll be able to build outposts here. When you build outposts, it's going to give you the 4 different main resources here. You also have a wild resource, these crystals. You'll be able to build armies that you'll be able to move out on the board. You'll have these capital buildings, which are placed into your capital structure, and each of them gives special upgrade abilities. For example, the market allows you to buy, unlocks a few of these actions over here. You'll have some cubes that are blocking some of these actions, which will open up. You can buy outpost expansions, which will make these produce more resources for you. You can buy upgrades. There's all sorts of upgrades, although there's upgrade level 2, which you can't get until you build the tech lab. Now, a lot of this revolves around this spot over here. This is how well you work with the people. And by moving this up to a certain spot, you're going to get an extra action cube. And as you can see, moving up here, your fame is going to increase that. And you can do propaganda. You can even spend some of this to get the wild resource that you might need. So you're going to have to kind of try to work through all these different things. There's lots of different activities that you can take. You can buy power cards, which I'll talk about in a second. You can attack and explore. Exploring, you'll flip over a tile and you get to figure out what's going to be there. But whenever you explore, you will draw an explore card. And these usually give you a choice. Here I meet some weak desert bandits and I can ask for a payment to let them go, where I will get a wild resource and roll the resource die. Or I can fight them and then roll the resource die times 4. So I have to figure out which of those choices I would like to do. And then I'm just going to roll these resources dies and loot dies and see what I'll get on various actions. Or I find a broken war vehicle here where I can scavenge it or try to fix it. But you roll dice and there's a chance that you'll get nothing. So you'll run into these. Sometimes as you go through these cards, you'll run across creatures. And these creatures are kind of like, basically they're going to be neutral units on the board that you can attack. There's also power cards. I mentioned these. You're going to get power cards, and whenever you have a power card, you can use these to do different actions on your turn, but you also use them in combat. Whenever you fight somebody else or fight a neutral unit with one of your units on the board, you are going to be using a power card. You'll draw one, and then you're going to see who's attacking who, because depending on what's attacking what, if I'm attacking the headquarters, for example, the headquarters is going to use a superior number. I'll probably use a different number. Depends on what's attacking what. And you'll draw a card, and you can use the number on that card, or you can use a card from your hand. Players will also have their own little deck here of combat tactics, where they can spend additional cubes to get more power when fighting. And then the winners kind of blow up the losers, and you keep moving. The main thing you want to do is find these ruined cities so that you can build these, which is going to give you the resources to do more stuff. But what you're actually trying to do is at the beginning of every turn that you have, you're going to look at these possibilities out here. Do I have 3 upgrades? One of them level 2. Have I done 3 buy actions on this turn? Do I have 3 points here of people's popularity? So when that happens, I'm going to get to take one of these discs. I'm going to move these up because this is going to trigger the end of the game as I put these out. When I get here, it's going to trigger the end of the game. I'll also get to draw cards when I get to certain spots. And this is the points of the game. These are how you're going to win. Now, this is a very simple game. Having the most of these out is going to win you the game. So there's going to be tiebreakers, and that matters. The people's support is the first tiebreaker. Military prestige is the second tiebreaker. Most upgrade, most outposts in the map. And then finally, most crystals down here is going to determine the tie winner. And that person is the winner of the game. There's some modules that you can play with. Toxic clouds that can go on the board. There's also a solo mode. And like I said, you also have these people with special abilities where you will spend these cubes on them to do various extra abilities that will differentiate you from everybody else. Well, first of all, I think the game looks pretty good. The miniatures are great, and I'm a big fan of a board where all the pieces fit into it with the dual layered and all the different cubes. That stuff is great. There's a lot of things that I think are really good about Rise of the Wastelands. So one is the components, like I said. Another, those explore cards, when you find a new area, you move on to the new year, those explore cards, which, to be fair, almost feel like they're exported from another game called Scythe, which they're very similar. Not a huge amount of story on them, but you're kind of extrapolating the story, and you have 2 choices. A lesser but safe choice, and then maybe a more risky choice, but that could end up better. And if you fail that, well, that's on you. No one made you choose that. So I find that sort of thing to be interesting. I like that. I like the plethora of actions that you have and the plethora of upgrades. What do I want to do? Well, obviously on turn 1, you want to get basically an outpost out there because this game is tight on resources. But do I want to then increase that outpost? Do I want to get my level 2 technologies? Which technologies do I pick? Do I put out an extra scout? Do I start putting out attack units? The possibilities are just very varied, and using your action points, the system works really well, but it also doesn't drag down on a player's turn. So I do enjoy all of that. The resources are pretty tight. They're actually a little tighter than I prefer. You'd be like, but that's how it works in the Wastelands. Yeah, you're right, and I get the thematic nature of that. But it does mean the first several turns of this game, people are just kind of like, I'm trying to find an outpost and get any sort of resources. You start with 1 of each, but you're going to run out pretty quickly, and so you need to get stuff done. The finding neutral units on the board and things like that is also interesting. And again, like I said, that kind of tech tree, what are you going to do? And also, I think the visual aspect of it, as you build buildings in your base, I now have these upgrades. There's a couple things I don't love about the game. I think the action cards are neat, but they're really kind of take-that-esque cards sometimes. Like, oh, I shoot some missiles over at your base. It's an attack. I blow something up. Well, that's not fun for me at all. There's no way I can really stop it, and you've just hurt my game because you drew a lucky card. That part of I don't know that I love those cards much at all. They're interesting. It's fun to play attack cards, but they feel pretty powerful in this game. The other thing is attacking in general. First of all, it's fairly confusing. To say when this attacks this, you're using a superior number. When you attack this, and it's not an easy thing to remember which number you're using. They try to do almost like a little rock, paper, scissors-esque thing. And then you draw a power card, but if you already have a power card, you can use that number. And then you can spend cubes to add more, but you have so few of these cubes, and they're also these cubes, they come from your leader card, and you've been using these cubes to do those special actions. And I just felt like combat is by far the weakest, most boring part of this game. It just isn't interesting enough, and it makes you, when you lose a battle, it's a big deal. If someone comes and blows up your outpost, you are behind. Not only did you lose the battle, but now you're behind on resources, and it's very difficult to catch up. So that keeps me from loving this game. The fact that there can be, not necessarily a runaway leader, but I can stop you and pull ahead, and you just kind of watch me cross the finish line.
That doesn't mean I think it's a bad game. It definitely stays within the 2 hours. At the beginning, you're like, this is going to take 5 hours because it has kind of a slow start to it. But as you get into it and you're attacking each other and it starts becoming very interesting. Like, oh, all these choices that I can have. Oh, I can do this. I can build this up. And you have this sense of accomplishment. If the power cards have been somewhat neutered so that they're not just blowing the snot out of each other, or if they're just more positive cards towards you, I would like those better, and I wish combat was much more interesting. They're trying to kind of do the Dune combat where you're adding a certain number of power, but it's so weak and so rare that you're not going to want to do that very often. Still, there's a lot of interesting things in the game. I think it's nice. I think it flows smoothly. It's in one box. It's not in some gigantic box, so it works well. So I'm giving this one a 7 out of 10. If you like this theme, I think you're going to be really drawn to it. If you like 4X games but don't necessarily have the 3 to 4 hours that many of them take, I think this one will attract you. Frankly, even though this theme has been done to death, the post-apocalyptic type stuff, I don't think this style of game gets done that often, and it definitely doesn't get done that often in this time frame, with also really nice components. So a lot of cool stuff in here. Definitely check it out. That's Rise of the Wastelands. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.